Kakalosh Boker Tov. Today, Masechet Pesahim, Kuf Yutet, 119. We're just going to start on the last line of Kuf Yutchet Amubet, where it says, Maiki leoshvim lifnei Hashem. What does it mean that the ones that are sitting in front of Hashem? Amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, Ze hamakir mekom chavero b'shiva. This is somebody that he knows, he recognizes where his friend sits during the place when he's learning, which means that I'm going to come to the Bet Nash. I already know this is where I sit, this is where he sits, where he sits, where he sits. I know everyone's place, right? What does that mean? That I'm always there. Some people say, or that you receive them in their place, which means you're always there beforehand. Okay? Now, says the Halacha, the Gemara, Mai limchase atik. What does it mean, limchase atik yomin, or right? The concept of being covered. Atik yomin is very old things. This is somebody that's going to cover up things which HaKadosh Baruch Hu covers. Mind you, what is that? Sitre Torah, which means that we have to be very careful not to expose the secrets of the Torah. That's called Sitre Torah. Some people say, the reasons for the Torah, the Ta'ameh mitzvot. Okay? So basically that we have to try to cover them up. Amar Rav Kahana Mishum Rav Shimon Rav Yosef, says Rav Kahana named Rav Shimon Rav Yosef. What does it mean in the pasuk? Lamnatzeach means more leDavid. Zameru lemi shenotzchin oto v'sameach. You have to sing to the one that you win him and he's happy. Usually, if you win someone, whether it's going to be in an argument or it's going to be in something else, they're not happy. But here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sameach. Look, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not like a human being. When a human being, if you win them, they're sad. If you win him, he's happy. That if it wasn't for Moshe Rabbeinu, right, that he went and he was as if they went against him and he won. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu was happy that he won. So therefore it's important. Okay? It's actually very interesting. I heard a shiur yesterday from the Chavetz Chaim Heritage Foundation, right? Something incredible. And I think that we don't even think about it, meaning some things are so simple or so, that we don't even pay attention. He went and he said, imagine right now, right, God comes and he tells you something. Yeah? Imagine right now, comes HaKadosh Baruch Hu and he tells you, listen, somebody, Mr. So-and-so, he did something. What are you going to do? You're going to say, okay, it's obvious. Yeah? So therefore what? So you're going to say, okay, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but you're going to ask for forgiveness, you're going to do something. What does Moshe Rabbeinu do? HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, right, listen, your nation has sinned. The Midrash says, you know what Moshe Rabbeinu answered him? He answered him, I didn't see it. Let me go down and see. You have a doubt in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You have a doubt in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? You didn't see it, so you want to go see it with your own eyes? What's going on exactly? Yeah? So basically, it doesn't make sense, right? There's a problem. So he answers and he says that it was purposely done, is that Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to teach us a very important lesson. A very important lesson is that even when sometimes we hear, whether it's Lashon Hara or other things, we should never think, listen, he told it to me for sure it's true. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I don't know if it's true. Because here, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bichvodo ve'atzmo is going to come and he's going to tell it to Moshe Rabbeinu, and still Moshe Rabbeinu says, I didn't see it with my own eyes. So let me see it and then we'll talk. So then all the more so we have to do that. It's an incredible, many times we don't even pay attention. You understand? What's going on? But it's very, very important. Okay, fine. But it says here, Moshe HaKadosh Baruch Hu was happy when he's wrong. What do you mean he's wrong? It's not that he's wrong. It's that he's happy when people win him. How do you win him? For example, this case of Moshe Rabbeinu. That he went and he told, I'm going to be here. Fine. Amar Rav Kahana Mishum Rav Shimon Rav Yosef. Says Rav Kahana name of Rav Shimon Rav Yosef. The rabbi said Rav Shimon Lakish. In the name of Rav Yudah Nesiyah, says Rav Shimon Lakish. Lakish, the name of Rav Yudah Nesi. My dichtiv, what does it mean in the pasuk? V'idei Adam mitachat kanfehem. Yeah, what does that mean? That the hands of a human being are underneath, right? It's like it's a masorah to the kriya that it's written yado kativ. Okay, and we read it v'dei, meaning we add a vav, and instead of reading v'yado, it's v'dei. So it says, it's the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is underneath the chayot, the ministering angels, כדי לקבל בעלי תשובה מיד מידת הדין, in order to save the בעלי תשובה from the justice, from the מידת הדין. אמר רב יהודה בר שמואל, says רב יהודה בר שמואל, כל כסף זהב שבעולם יוסף ליקטו והביאו למצרים. Do you know that all the money in the world, Yosef HaTzadik got it, and he put it inside of Mitzrayim. Right? This is during the time of the famine, when he collected all the money in the world. שנאמר, וילקט יוצא כל הכסף ונמצא בארץ מצרים, right? He says, ובארץ כנען, אין לי אלא בארץ מצרים בארץ כנען, but that's only ארץ מצרים. ושם מצרים, how do I know everyone else? תמול לומר, בכל הארץ באו מצרימה. Everybody came to Mitzrayim for food. וכשעלו ישראל ממצרים, when they went out of Mitzrayim, right? העלו עמהם, they took it with them. שנאמר, וינצלו את מצרים, they emptied out מצרים. Rav Yosef, Ravasi says, Asau k'mitzuda zu shem ba dagan. They made it like an empty, the mamash, they took it, that they trapped everything, that there was nothing left. Shlomo Lakish says, k'mitzuda shem ba dagim, it's like a place, so deep depths of water, that there's no water, there's no fish, because they emptied out all the fish from there. Vayamunach ad Rechavam, and it was there until Rechavam, the king of, basically the son of Shlomo Melech, Bashishak Melech Mitzrayim Talom Rechavam, and he took it from Rechavam. שנאמר, ויהי בשנה חמישית למלך רחבעם, עלה במצרים מירושלים ויקח את תוצאות בית השם והתוצאות בית המלך. He took everything. בא זרח מלך כוש ונתנו משישק. Came Zerach, the king of Cush, and he took it from Shishak. Came Asa, the king of Yehuda, and he took it from the king of Cush. The Shigro, and he sent it Adrimon and Tarimon, the king of Aram. בא בני עמון ותלו מאדרימון, they took it from Adrimon and Tarimon. בא Yoshaphat, the king of Yehuda, and he took it from Ammon. And it was there until Achaz, the king of Yehuda. Sancheriv came and he took everything. Came Chizkiyahu Melech, and he took it from Sancheriv. And it was there until Tzidkiyahu Melech Yehuda. The Kasdim, the Babylonians came and they took it from Tzidkiyahu. The Persians came and they took it from the Kasdim. The Yevanim, the Greeks came and they took it from the Persians. And then they came the Romans and they took it from the Greeks. And it's still in Rome. And that's why you still have there in the Vatican, the entire, all the treasures and everything, all these things. It's there because of this. So it's still in Rome. Amar Rabbi Chama bar Chanina, says Chama bar Chanina, Shalosh matmoniyot itmin Yosef b'Mitzrayim. There were 3 treasures that Yosef buried in Mitzrayim. Achad nigala leKorach. One of them Korach found it, and that's why he was so rich. V'achad nigala leAntoninos ben Asaverias, and one of them was for Antoninus. He was the Caesar of Rome during the time of Rabbeinu HaKadosh. V'achad genuza letzadikim la'ati lavo, and one of them was for the tzadikim in the future. So that's what we imagine, one of those, those treasures of Yosef Tzadik, what he found. Okay? Osher shamul leva'alav lira'ato. Sometimes you have the people have riches, they have wealth, and it's only for the negative. We gave a story about this, if you remember, a few weeks ago, right? There was somebody that he was very poor. He had shalom bayit, he had everything. The second he became rich, within a few weeks later, a few months, whatever it was later, divorced, right? His entire life became upside down. Why? Because sometimes money is not always a bracha. Sometimes money is a curse. So a person has to be careful with that. Amar B'Shimon Lakish, Zo Shro Shel Korach. This is the rich, the wealth is of Korach. That was actually used for his negative, right? As it says, right? This is the money of a human being, Shema'amidor Raglav, which means makes a person happy. Amar Rabbi Levi, says Rabbi Levi, there were 300 mules, white mules, that had the keys of the Beit Gnazav of Korach. So he says, and all of them were shayachim to different things, of huge things. So imagine how much was the riches, the wealth, right? Imagine what it was, the wealth of Korach, just to understand a little bit what it was, the wealth of Korach. Fine, now we have these letters, Diyash, Adish, Kashadach, Mudach, Siman. It says Siman. Let's see what it says. Amar Shmuel ben Nachmani Rabbi Yonatan. It says Shmuel ben Nachmani Rabbi Yonatan. Odecha ki anitani v'teili lishua. What does that mean? That I'm going to thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because you answered me and you were my salvation. It says David HaMelech, right? After he was anointed as Shmuel HaNavi to become king, right? So that's when he said, Odecha ki v'teili lishua, you're my salvation. Okay. This was said about David HaMelech, meaning the brothers said it when David HaMelech was anointed. Ever ma'asu abonim ha'yital rosh pinah was Yishai, the father of David, said this. Ever ma'asu abonim ha'yital rosh pinah, which means that it says over here, 44, it says, because he was Even Ma'asu Abonim, everyone went against him, right? And then Aital Rosh Pina, he became the head, he became the pillar. Meaning, remember that the brothers of David HaMelech thought that he was a mamzer. If you remember, we said in the pasuk in Tilim, Muzar Haiti le'echrai vegam nochri livnei imi, which means that they thought it was a stranger. So because of that, says the father, at the time that he was anointed, Even Ma'asu Abonim, this stone, that they went and the ones that they were building with him, they went and they made him disgusting. They thought that he was bad. He became the head. He became the pillar. He became everything. Right? Those were his brothers. Ze hayom asa Hashem, says Shmuel Navi, was Shmuel Navi. Ana Hashem Hoshi Ana Amro Echav was the brothers, and Hashem Tzachana was David HaMelech. Baruch haba b'shem Hashem was Yishai, v'rachnuchem bet Hashem was Shmuel Navi. El Hashem v'yar lanu, everyone said it. Yisruchak b'avotim was says Shmuel HaMelech. Eli ata ve'odeka, Eloi Meka was David HaMelech, and Eloi Meka was everybody. So basically, it was different parts of the psukim were said by different people during that episode. It was one story of David HaMelech becoming king, and there were different parts which were said by different people. Okay? Fine. Tanan Hatam, we learned over there. We're on the 2 dots on the last line of Kuf Yutet Amud Aleph. We learned over there in the Mishnah in Sukkah, Masechet Amud Aleph. Makom shenagu, in the place where they had the minhag to read the Hallel. So now we're in Kuf Yutet Amud Bet, Lichpol. So the place where they had a minhag to say it twice, which means they do al dechaki and itani twice and everything, yichpol, they've showed if they only had a minhag to do it once, they do it once. Levarech acharav, if they had a minhag to make the bracha afterwards, they make the bracha. Hakol ki minhag minhag, everything goes after the minhag. Okay? Amar Abaye, Abaye says, Lo shanu, what are we talking about? Acharav, that's only afterwards. But beforehand, mitzvah levarech. There's a mitzvah to make the bracha before the halel. Right? Here we're talking about obviously on certain times, not on Rosh Chodesh, because Rosh Chodesh is a minhag. That's why you have the machloke between Sfaradim and, like the Dota Mizrach and the Moroccans, right, and Ashkenazim and things like that, because on Rosh Chodesh it's a minhag. Okay? It says why? The Amar of Yudah Mashmuel says with the Mashmuel, Kol mitzvot mevarech aleinu v'le yasatan. All the mitzvot you have to make a bracha before you do the mitzvah. My mashmadai over, how do you know when it says over lasiyatan? How do you know that the word over means beforehand? Right? Maybe it means afterwards. So Rav Nachman ben Yitzchak says Nachman ben Yitzchak, he passed through. So it means in order to tell David HaMelech that Avshalom died. Abaye says mehacha from here, v'hu amar mehacha from another place. V'hu aval lifnehem. Yaakov, he went before the children, right, in order to see Esav. Some people say mehacha from here, v'yavol malkam lifnehem v'Hashem enusham. That the Melech comes and then Hashem was in front of them. So when it says right v'yavor, it means that it was before, preceding. Okay? Tanya, we learned in the writer, Rebbe kofel badvarim, right? It says Rebbe used to come and used to double up things during the Hallel. Rabbi Elazar ben Pratia mosif badvarim. Rabbi Elazar ben Pratia used to add different things in the Hallel. My mosif, what would he add? Amar Abaye mosif lichpol meodecha ulmata, from odecha ki anitani downwards. And that's our minhag. Our minhag is to double it, and we go downwards. That's also the minhag today. Okay. The only difference in the minhagim is that some people they do double at the time, and some people they do the double afterwards. Okay, that's the only difference. Darash Rav Avida zimlin amar lach mishmeh de Rav Ami v'zimlin alman mishmeh de Rav Asi. Do you know that once Rav Avida came and he expounded, but sometimes you say in the name of Rav Ami, and sometimes you say in the name of Rav Asi. My dichtiv, what does it mean in the pasuk? Vayigdal yeled vayigamal. Right, that Yitzchak Avinu came and he grew, right? Vayigamal. Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu la'asot suda al tzadikim biyom sheigmol chasto lezaro shel Yitzchak. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the future will make a seudah for the tzadikim during the day that he's going to come, and he's going to during the time of the Yemot HaMashiach, and that's the seudah. La'achar she'ochlim v'shotim is after they eat and drink. Notrim lo la'Avraham Avinu kos she'beracha levarech. They're going to give to Avraham Avinu to the kos she'beracha to make birkat hamazon. Ve'omer lahem, and he says, Eni mevarech. I don't want to make a beracha. Why? Yatsa mimenu Yishmael, because Yishmael came out of me. Meaning, since Yishmael came out of Avraham Avinu does not want to make the bracha on the cost of Birkat HaMazon. Okay, this is during the time of Seudat HaMashiach, yeah? Omer lo Yitzchak, he tells Yitzchak Avinu, Tol Varech, make the bracha. Omer lahem, he said, no, any Varech. It's a menu Esav came out of me. Omer Yaakov, he comes and he says, Yaakov Avinu, Tol Varech, make the bracha. Omer lahem, He says, no, I can't. Why? I got married to two sisters that the Torah in the future are going to prohibit. Omer Moshe, he tells Moshe, I'm not going to. I didn't go into Eretz Yisrael. Right? Not in my lifetime, and not in his death. Yeah, Omer He tells Yoshua, make the bracha. He never had a boy. He only had girls, Yoshua bin Nun. Tichtiv, Yoshua bin Nun, not Nun beno, Yoshua beno. Amar lo le David, so he told David HaMelech, yeah, tolu varech, go make the bracha. He says, Ani evarech veli nael evarech. I'm going to make the bracha. And therefore, David HaMelech was the one that made the bracha. Shneimar kos Yeshuot tesal v'shem Hashem ekra. Okay, that you have to pick up the cup, right? And you're going to make the bracha. So therefore, you see from here, right, that it was actually going to be like a bracha. Who was going to do the bracha? The bracha was by David HaMelech. Yeah, there's a lot of musar on this and understanding. Obviously, in the Agadah, it will be beautiful to see, who explains, why Davka David HaMelech was zocheh and not anybody else. That in itself. Here it says because David HaMelech had both, because he built the Yerushalayim and his son built the Bet HaMikdash. So it comes out that because of that, it was Naeh, because he had everything. He had the Torah, Eretz Yisrael, Yerushalayim, the Bet HaMikdash, and he had also the Brit Milah. It was all the different things, everything together. But okay, fine.
Did he say also is the father of Shlomo HaMelech? He also said, I'm the father of Shlomo. That's why I deserve to make the bracha.
Right. Well, that's what's written in the footnote. In the Gemara itself, it doesn't actually say it. No. We understand it because if Yoshua couldn't do it because he didn't have a son, so obviously the son was a prerequisite. So obviously the son had to be there also for David HaMelech, which was Shlomo. But as I mentioned in the footnote, I think the pshat was, the Maharsha says that it's everything together, which means that David HaMelech had Torah, right? Because he was a learner, right? He built Yerushalayim. His son built the Bet HaMikdash, right? He had a boy. He was in Eretz Yisrael, right? It was so because of everything together that other people didn't have. So because of that, I guess it was fitting for him. Okay? Very good. Fine. Next. Says the Mishnah, Kufitet Mubet, En maftirin achar Pesach afikuman. You're not going to do after the Pesach afikuman. Says the Gemara, Maya afikuman. What does it mean that you're not going to finish the Seudah? Meaning after the Korban Pesach, right? It says over here, right? The only thing that you eat is afikuman. What is afikuman? Rav says, Lo yakru mechabura lechabura. You're not allowed to go from one group to another group, which means afikuman means apiku manaichu. Take out your kelim. Which means that after you've already eaten in one group, you're not allowed to go to another group to eat in another group. Okay, so the Korban Pesach, you're eating in one group. You can't start, mimona, right? Or sukkah hopping. Yeah, you can't do those things. Shmuel Amar and Shmuel says, Kegon, ardilai li vegozlai la'aba. For example, no, he says that really be'emet, it's like the kinuach. Kinuach is like the dessert, right? So for example, I eat after the Seudah, pitrio, like, types of mushrooms and things like that. And Abba would come and he would eat like a duck. You understand? Rav Chanina Bashir Rav Yochanan Amru Kigon Tmanim Koyev Gazin. They're like other types of things. So afikuman means mine metika, like sweet things. And another thing is, for example, tmarim, dates, klayotos, the kernels, egozim, walnuts. Tarik Avated Rav Yochanan, we actually learned like Rav Yochanan Maftin Lachar Pesach Gon Tmanim Koyev Gazin. So it is like different types of desserts, which means that the dessert is the afikuman. There's nothing else afterwards. Okay? That's why you have to have the dessert before eating the matzah of the, at the end of the meal. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, says Rav Yehuda the name of Shmuel. Em aftirin achar matzah afikuman. You're not allowed to eat after the matzah afikuman, which means that even nowadays, at the end of the Seudah, it's only matzah. There's nothing else. You're not allowed to eat anything after the matzah. Today we learned in the Mishnah, Em aftirin achar pesach afikuman, achar pesach udelo, aval achar matzah maftirin. So one saying only after the Korban Pesach you're not allowed to do it. But after the matzah, right? Now, that means nowadays we don't have the Korban Pesach, we only have the matzah, so you should be able to eat something afterwards. And so the Gemara, lo mi bayeh kamar. No. Lo mi bayeh chal matzah. It's not only that after the matzah, don't finish the matzah, that you don't want that, you still need the tam of the chazak. Okay? Aval achar Pesach, but after the Korban Pesach, then afish tameh, that it's got a good taste. Lo matzi bureh, you cannot take it away. Let lamba. So I would think that there's no problem. Kamash Baran comes teach you that it's a sur to eat even after the Korban Pesach, meaning after the matzah, it's for sure you're not allowed to eat. Because the matzah, you want the taste of the matzah in your mouth. But after the Korban Pesach, the meat and its juicy meat and everything, I would think that, listen, you're allowed to. No, you're not allowed to even after the Korban Pesach. But after the matzah, for sure you're not allowed to. Okay, so Nema Mesayela, why don't we come and we bring a proof? To the words of Shmuel from the Braita. The Braita says sufganim. They're like small, like thin crackers. Baduv shanin, and it's type of matzah which is like fried in honey and oil, right? And then it says iskritin. It's another one which has like a very runny, it's like a mufleta, it's like a very runny dough, okay? Adam emelek resomen, person's allowed to eat whatever he wants, but they can never become chametz. But you have to eat one kazait of matzah at the end. In at the end, yes. Kufkaf amud aleph, barishona lo, but not at the beginning. So it says the Gemara, lo mi bae kama. No, you don't even need to say this. Lo mi bae, you don't have to even say at the beginning of the meal, the ka'achil te'avon, that you're going to eat the te'avon, which means that it's a mitzvah to eat the matzah when you're hungry, not after you're already full. But at the end of the meal, you could eat it, right? Then I'm going to say that you're not allowed to do that. Kamashmalan comes to teach you that you're allowed to eat the kazait even at the end, and we're not going to start suspecting for achila gasa. Okay, so Bezrat Hashem, we continue on Sunday.